ladies and gentlemen, not just a British Formula One legend, but a Formula One legend in Nigel Mansell. Nigel, lovely to see you again, sitting in front of one of your best friends.
Yes, it's wonderful, isn't it? And I mean, congratulations to everyone to do with the museum. It's so nice to come and see a motor racing museum, which is actually done very nicely.
And you're continuing to add to it. This is the helmet that you actually wore throughout the '92 season. And unlike drivers now, you weren't using a whole load of them. You wore that for a lot of different races.
Yeah, no, I had some favourite helmets that I wore for races and that, and this is the actual suit and helmet we won in, so yeah, very special one.
We're sitting here at Silverstone. We must talk about that race in '92 because, you know, Murray in the commentary box, the crowd all over the track, which I'm pretty sure is not allowed, so we better not encourage that for this weekend. But it was just one of those famous moments in sport.
It's just incredible, isn't it? And I think, you know, I think the last but one lap we smashed the track record for the fans. The fans are the most important thing here in England and the British Grand Prix for all the British drivers, not just myself. And to come back in and sort of rekindle all those memories. Memories are fantastic. And the track invasions, as you remember, 91 and 92 with health and safety now, I'm not sure that quite will ever happen again.
No.
But yeah, just wonderful memories, wonderful.
And when you come back into Silverstone, it sounds a bit like a cliche, but do those memories come flooding back?
Wow, I mean Goodwood, as you know, last week, as soon as you get in the car and switch the ignition on and you see the lights come up, the memories that flood back is just absolutely astonishing. And to sit here with a good old red 5 behind, and I mean, these sponsors were just unique, weren't they? I mean, the colour, the blends, Labatt's, Canon, Renault, Elf, and Goodyear, of course, just fantastic.
And it was a hugely rich time in Formula One, not just you, Williams, Sir Patrick Head, Frank Williams. It really was a sort of, it was like the brains trust.
Yeah, I mean, coming back this morning, it's quite amazing really, because we were saying a little bit of traffic to come in. And then it all floods back that we used to bring our own encampment and stay in the middle of the circuit. Because, you know, many years ago we sat in the pits trying to get out for 6 hours. 6 hours before the roads were obviously improved and various things. And so to have our own campground and work with the BRDC, which is a fabulous club, God, it was so much fun. We used to play baseball, soccer, and the fans used to join in, and we had barbecues, and then we used to say, right, 8, 9 o'clock, we're going to go quiet now. And we instantly had 200-300 security people with people camping around us that wouldn't let them get through the perimeter. Wow. So, you know, it was open season for everybody to come and have fun, but then when we wanted to be quiet, we had our own police force, if you like, and everything else. The fans were just fantastic. And we used to do that year on year, so it was good fun.
People who watch Formula One maybe over the last 10 years will think of Sebastian Vettel dominance or Lewis Hamilton dominance. But what you did in 1992 at that time was unprecedented. You'd won the championship in Hungary. You had 5 rounds still to go. I mean, it really was an incredible season overall.
Yeah, we were on a mission because we obviously knew it was my last year. I had a contract, and then Ayrton and Alan were queuing up to get the car. Whenever a car's going well, they want it. So yeah, we had a wonderful year in '92, which we maximised everything we probably could have done. But the thing that always makes it for me, around the whole world, but especially Silverstone, is the fans.
Yeah.
And when there was no health and safety, I mean, that particular day, I think it's over 300,000 fans, and you couldn't go anywhere, you couldn't do anything, you couldn't breathe, but it was marvellous. It was absolutely marvellous.
Did you feel pressure then, whilst you were trying to win that championship, because there was an Ayrton and an Alan in the wings putting pressure on, even though you were dominating?
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, in those days, and especially even earlier than then, if you didn't do your job, you were replaced overnight. And what people don't remember, and I don't know whether they've been able to portray it here in the museum, but in the 80s, and the late 80s especially, at one time, if you counted the cars, there was 43 Formula One cars trying to qualify for 26 places on the grid. And the present era of Formula One, the last 20 or 30 years, there's only been about 20 cars. No one knows what it's like to pre-qualify.
Yeah.
You imagine Niki Lauda, you mentioned the name Niki Lauda, Triple World Champion, John Watson with McLaren. at Monaco one year, never qualifying for the Grand Prix. You go, how can that be? That's because at Monaco there's 46 cars that year trying to qualify to get on the grid. So the pressure cooker we had in the 80s was amazing.
What do you make of Formula One now in 2022, 30 years on since you won?
Well, I think it's amazing. I mean, the media exposure is just quite incredible, isn't it? And when we were racing and doing the incredible job everyone was back then, there was an agreement where Formula One took 2/3 of the world, and IndyCar racing took the other third of the world. And I remember distinctly in 1993, when I won back-to-back the Formula One and IndyCar, I was the first driver to go global, because Formula One drivers weren't known in a third of the world. Now Formula One drivers are known throughout the whole world, and what Liberty have done and everything is just truly amazing. And I think the only thing I'd like to think is that in the future they would encourage to get more cars on the grid. Get a full grid of 26 cars again, give younger drivers 6 empty seats which are not filled at the moment, but it's a great spectacle. And the longevity of a driver now in Formula One is probably over twice what it was when we did it, because of the safety of the cars and the circuits and everything else. So, you know, it was unprecedented in our day. If you had a career of 150, 180 Grand Prix and you were still alive, that's a hell of an achievement. Now you have people do over 300 Grand Prix and it's almost getting the norm.
But from your point of view, the fact that, you know, Formula One is so big now, it is global, these drivers are superstars, whether they've won a world championship or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, when you look back at your career, you must be so proud that the fans still come out. They came out at Goodwood. It was hugely emotional. They love the history, and even our current drivers like Sebastian Vettel love what you did.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're absolutely spot on, and all the drivers are doing such a fantastic job, and for some of them to have memories what we were doing before they started their sport is astonishing. A great credit to them, and it's lovely for us. And for me at Goodwood, you know, celebrating 30-year history of our sport, it just feels like yesterday. I think that's the point I want to make. And every time we went up the hill, because we went up the hill 4 days running, 2 or 3 times a day, I got more and a better feel every time, and started to go quicker and quicker. And I have to say, Nigel, come back a little bit now, come back a little bit. I'm ready for the race this weekend. I mean, if any of the guys need to have a rest to get COVID or whatever, I'll jump in the car for them, no problem.
Once a driver, always a driver. Do you like to look back? Do you ever sit down and look back at 92, for example?
A quick answer, no. I sometimes pinch myself, did I really do that now? It's such a long time ago. And then reacquainting everything at Goodwood last week. I think the astonishing thing for anybody, especially for me, is how quickly everything just comes back. The memory sort of gets a charge of whatever it is, adrenaline, and you remember things you haven't remembered in years, and it's astonishing. And I was at Williams last night doing a big talk at the factory, and the things that came flooding back, just going to the factory again and reacquainting memories. So it's quite phenomenal.
Well, Nigel, you have inspired a whole generation of racing drivers and still continue to do so. So thank you very much.
Well, it's just lovely to be here to see how everything's developed, and I'm so pleased for the fans. The fans deserve something like this, and you know, to be able to come and go out. There's something for everybody. You know, going back to World War II and before the war, and it's wonderful. History is very, very important, and if we can learn from history, we don't have to also repeat the mistakes, do we?
Wonderful sentiment. Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nigel.
Indeed.